Hello and welcome to The Red Menace. We're a comedy news podcast bringing you the latest and greatest stories from inside around the world, but only from inside around the world. My name's Chris Bolson.
And I'm Alison Hoare.
We're very excited to announce, so this episode's out a day late, and the reason for that is we finished production on it, and we were about to release it, but then we had a look through it and we were like, this one's got to go back to the oven. So I brought in my good friend Zachary Snyder, just to retool the episode.
Right. So what you're in fact listening to right now is the Snyder cut of the Red Menace episode, whatever episode we're up to.
Whatever it is, who knows at this point?
It could be any number.
100 and something. Zach will probably change it to 169, knowing Zach
of course,
his stuff.
as it should be.
And his style, his edgy style. And if we suddenly start talking really, really slowly and then ramp back up to talking normal speed, you'll know Zach's had a bit of a tinker in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And if suddenly what we're talking about doesn't make sense and you feel like maybe it's been stitched together from various different things we've been talking about before, you'll know Zach's had a little party in there.
He's had a little tinker there. My favourite part will be when he, introduces a new character for the fans later on, halfway through filming or recording, and he'll need to put their little bits in between what we've already said.
And if you see during this audio podcast a naked woman's breasts, you'll know that Zach's just had a little bit of fun.
Well, actually, you know what you can do? You can, in fact, look at the little sound wave thing that you can see, and you will see naked boobs throughout the sound wave that Zack Snyder has put there.
We do have boob wav technology.
Wav technology.
It's very rare that we get the episode title 2 minutes into the episode, but this is a first for everything.
Absolutely. What do you think about that, Kurt? Okay, I'm just doing that so then when he introduces Kurt later...
oh, that's smart. Okay, yeah, you lost me for a second. I'm just not on Zach's wavelength.
You're just not on his wavelength. So when Kurt's introduced later, at least he's got me saying the name a couple of times so that he can...
And Kurt will be... a big, gruff, muscular man. He'll come
heterosexual energy.
Heterosexual.
Dripping off his hot bod.
He'll come in, literally beat me to death.
Right.
And then say, that's what you get, you filthy leftist. Let me tell you about my favorite book, Atlas Shrugged.
Perfect. And
that is how he sounds.
Someone who is not a man, I will have to sit there and listen, doing my duty, while Kurt...
that's...
tells
exactly
the story of Atlas Shrugged. You can't be there. You're a soy boy beta who's just been beat to a pulp. You're dead. You're on the ground. You're like in blood on the ground.
Yeah. So if we bring up any of the stories we talked about last week and they had any women in them, so what we're going to do this week is their costume, the outfits that they're wearing, they're going to be like largely similar, but you're going to be able to see a bit more of the woman, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. And that's in post.
Not a rating changing amount of the woman, but like
just enough.
You can tell. You can tell.
Enough.
You can tell Zach's had a tinker.
What movies do you think need a Zachariah cut?
I think that Titanic, obviously. That movie is not long enough.
Yeah, it's much too short. Much too short.
And it only has one nipple in it. Not enough nipples. And at no point do we see that nipple in slow motion.
And you know what, Chris? Simply not enough people die in the film Titanic.
Not enough people die in the film Titanic. And not enough people make out standing on their ashes, because that's just like the coolest shit to do.
That's hot and edgy.
Hot and edgy, man.
Who doesn't want to see that? I mean, I know that's exactly what I go to see a film to see.
Alison, what kind of movie do you want to see the Snyder cut of?
I would like to see a Snyder cut of a Rob Schneider movie, in fact, maybe. the Snyder cut of The Hot Chick.
Schneider of Schneider. That's so fucking good, dude.
The Snyder cut
so proud
of
you.
Rob Schneider's The Hot Chick would be really nice to see. It would be a lot more edgy.
Now, I do not know what happens in that movie.
Do you not know the plot of Rob Schneider as the hot chick?
No.
So the titular...
Is there some sort of slow motion sword fight at some point?
There is... body swap and racism.
Well, I mean, the racism one is, that's definitely going to be still in there.
Well, so here's a quick rundown of the film.
Does it happen to be racism against people of Middle Eastern descent?
Ooh, not quite, I don't think.
Well, then we're going to have two types of racism, aren't we?
Yeah, well, they've got to add that in there too. So Rob Schneider's the hot chick. Let me just give...
So it's going to be a bit where Jesse Eisenberg makes someone drink piss for some reason.
Okay, well, I mean, that probably already happened in The Hot Chick. To be fair, I don't know. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I would imagine it probably did. The movie was in fact written by Rob Schneider and produced by John Schneider.
Oh.
And directed by Tom Brady. I don't know who that is, but I know that's also the name of a footballer.
That was what I was thinking. Is I can't imagine it's that Tom Brady.
I don't think it's that Tom Brady.
I would kind of love it if it was.
So, here's what happens in the film The Hot Chick. The titular hot chick in the movie, who I believe is actually Rachel McAdams, is the titular hot chick.
Everyone's got to start somewhere.
Everyone's got to start somewhere. There's like Anna Faris and a whole lot of other like genuinely good, funny female actors.
I mean, to be fair, I love Anna Faris, but that's not out of character with her existing filmography, let's be honest.
She's in like, what, like Scary Movie franchise?
Yeah, she's in like 8 movies and none of them are very good.
So, Rachel McAdams. I'm going to call her Rachel McAdams because I don't know the character's name. But Rachel McAdams is a hot chick. You know, she's
that is true. I'll give you that.
A sexy gal who likes doing sexy gal things and like is a cheerleader and all this other stuff, right? And Rob Schneider is not. You know?
That is also true.
He's just not. He's an ugly man, an ugly, dirty man. And so...
Is he sure this wasn't written by Adam Sandler? Because it sounds a lot like it was written by Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler just roasting his friend. No, because Adam Sandler isn't there to be the hot guy later in the film. So basically what happens is Rachel McAdams, whose name, according to Wikipedia, is Jessica, I've just seen. Basically, she steals some earrings from a store, which are magical earrings.
Okay, so slow motion police chase. Please continue.
Yeah, basically. So she steals the earrings, and then somehow she loses one of the earrings. And then for some reason, Rob Schneider, who's like a criminal, a dirty, filthy, yucky criminal, he finds the earring and he puts it on.
Okay.
And the girl also puts on the earring. As a result, they swap bodies. So that's the premise of the film. So that's probably the first, let's say, 20 minutes of the film.
Now it's the first 40 minutes, but please continue.
Well, the first 20 minutes. First 40 minutes, with the Snyder cut of this Rob Schneider piece. The remaining runtime, which is probably about like an hour and 10 minutes longer, whatever. That's just Rob Schneider being a sexy hot chick in his body.
Hell yeah, dude.
A lot of funny comedy because Rob Schneider is not a sexy hot chick, and now he's in a sexy hot chick body.
But now he gets to experience it. I feel so sorry for Rachel McAdams having to be in Rob Schneider's just filth-ridden body.
But the thing that's really weird is Rachel McAdams actually does a decent job of acting like a disgusting, filthy Rob Schneider.
Well, that's because she's a talented actress. That's because she's a talented
actress. And then at the end, right, there's lots of funny little mishap bits where, like, flirty Rachel McAdams in Rob Schneider's body is flirting with a man, and then they think, oh, this Rob Schneider is homosexual. That's really funny.
That's pretty fun. Actually, yeah, Zach's going to keep that in.
He'll keep that in. That's
Zach
probably,
that shit.
So that's really funny, and that's really, like,
because Zach doesn't like there being politics in his movies.
No.
And so politics, just so you know, is when you have gay people in them and you don't mock them. That's what politics is.
And politics is when women are allowed to do things that aren't be a cheerleader as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. So is there any dream sequences in this movie?
No, but I believe there probably will be added. Is that what you're going to get to?
What if we added a dream sequence where Rob Schneider fights a bunch of like flying CGI bats, and then after that he sees a vision of Kevin Costner, and Kevin Costner is sort of just reciting things that Ayn Rand has said to him. in like just in verse. And like then he wakes up, and then Rob Schneider's like, "Wow, okay, I guess that'll definitely be addressed in another movie later down the line."
Yeah,
and it won't,
exactly.
and that's going to be cool.
He wakes up, and then he's in Rachel McAdams' body, and then the film continues.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so the Bat Ayn Rand Kevin Costner fight sequence dream does happen like at the inception point of the plot.
At the inception point of the plot, and then the rest of the movie, you're waiting for that to be like touched on, maybe waiting for that to kind of be addressed in the film, and then it's not.
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, Rachel McAdams and Rob Schneider are talking to each other, and they realise that their mums have the same name, and that's when they swap back bodies, because they realise that they're both people.
Right. Okay. They realise that they're siblings, and that also is the inception for the next plot, where they have to team up together with a group of other assorted characters that exist in this universe.
A group of other not very well developed characters.
Like, don't mess with the Zohan. That's also in the same universe, right?
Alright, so we'll get the Zohan in there. Gotta get Paul Blart in there, don't we?
Basically, everyone in the Sandler cinematic universe is connected to the Schneider cinematic universe, right? It's connected, so you've got to have them.
We've always talked about how the Sandler cinematic universe is close to the MCU, but I do think it's closer in spirit to the DC cinematic universe, in that it's just constantly filled with dog shit.
Hey, speaking of dog shit, do you have any stories to start, or should I start with a story?
No, let's flip it. I'll start this week.
You start this week.
Why
That's
not?
a bit funny.
You just gave us a full plot rundown of a movie that I assume sucks major ass.
Look,
So-
let's just say, okay, let's make a deal here. If we get to 200 episodes, our special will be Rob Schneider's The Hot Chick of 2002.
No. No, Alison.
That's a promise to you, listeners. If we get to 200 episodes, we will do a review of Rob Schneider's The Hot Chick.
I thought we were friends.
Oh, well.
All right.
This is what
Okay,
friends
so
do for me.
I'm going to give you an update to one of our previous stories, and then I will tell you an actual story.
Okay, that's exciting. I like updates.
Yeah, so my mum sent me this. This is written by Peter Fitzsimmons in the Sydney Morning Herald. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you recall last week how we talked about a young gentleman who punched a shark in the face to save someone from
I do
it?
believe we talked about the man who punched a shark in the face. The gentleman, yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
This is just a little story letting you know that that gentleman is single.
Okay, well, listeners, if you want a man who will punch a shark in the face for you, he's single.
He's very single. Okay, so this is a story when it opens from yahoonews.com, a really good news source.
Of course.
And this is sent to me by my dad, written by Camilla Palou. Extremely alarming. House for sale with shocking hidden feature behind kitchen door.
Oh, I know this house.
You know this house?
I know this house, Christopher.
At first glance, it looks like a real estate listing for an ordinary, two-story red brick home. But a shocking feature has propelled the house to online fame. Listed for sale in the city of Fayette, Missouri, the house comes with 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, and, wait for it, 9 jail cells tucked away behind a door in the kitchen.
Just what everyone needs.
That's what everyone needs.
This reminds me of when I first saw this. It had very much the same energy of that random house that had like a huge Christmas town in the basement.
Yes. But kind of the opposite of that at the same time.
I don't know. I feel like a Christmas town does give me a kind of jail cell vibes.
No, that's true. If you can't leave the Christmas town, then that's
Could you imagine
basically
being
torture.
stuck for eternity in a basement Christmas town? I would rather be just in the jail cell.
Can you imagine being stuck for eternity in a mire around Christmas time and you can never ever
Chris,
leave?
I worked in Maya around Christmas time and you're triggering a lot of traumatic memories of that. I'd like to learn more about the jailhouse because it's a lot more pleasant than the Maya Christmas time memories.
I'm sorry for that. The US $350,000, which is about 482,000 Australian dollars.
That's pretty good.
Bloody cheap, mate.
I could... maybe not.
The house includes a 2,500 square foot jail, complete with a booking room.
Okay. Just what everyone needs.
What a feature. Photos of the kitchen show an inconspicuous white door next to the marble bench, but once opened, another heavier metal door can be seen. Behind the mysterious door, a world away from the rest of the family home, is a dual-level prison with iron bars, metal bunks, and concrete floors. The real estate listing markets the jail as the best part of the home and says...
I don't know what it's really saying about the rest of the house.
And says the possibilities are amazing. Now,
when the real estate agent opened that door and he saw that jail, do you think his mind went immediately to, like, sex swingers dungeon?
I mean, that's definitely got to be a big option.
I feel like it's one of the only options for that house.
You could definitely have, like, a cool, in inverted commas, nightclub down there.
Yes.
Where there's, like, those are the rooms that you go in and you put the sock on the door kind of thing.
Right. But there's no point putting the sock on the door because they're open.
But here's the thing, is all of those rooms do have toilets in them. So, like...
Well, if you need to take a leak...
you need a break. That's a good little, nice place to sit.
Right, exactly.
Some of the floors have what look like either vomit, piss, or blood stains on them.
Probably a little bit of all of the three. Let's be real.
Just a nice mixture, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll say the light fixtures look pretty nice.
What could you use that... Okay, let's think about this. If you bought this house, what non-sex dungeon things could you use that jail for?
You could make... What's the word? You could make, like, a dive bar down there. I think that would actually be legit pretty cool.
Like a man cave dive bar in your basement?
No, but, like, one where you sell people drinks and make money off of it.
But they have to come through your house to get in there.
Oh, that's true. Well, maybe it could be, like, one of those... let me see if the house is... So it's a 2-story house. So it could be, like, the bottom floor is just the shop front and you live on the top floor.
Okay, you could do that.
Yeah, so if you want to run a bar, this is a good place to do it.
Or you could turn it into like into a B&B.
You could turn it into a B&B.
And have the bar on the bottom.
And there's 9 different rooms, so that's exciting.
There's definitely some people who would pay to sleep in a jail cell, so...
Exactly. Everyone wants to piss in as many toilets as possible, so this gives you 9 additional ones, and that's pretty cool.
Sure.
Adds
So
onto
if
your
you
tally.
just really like pissing...
If you just want to get, like, an additional 9 on your card without having to, like,
on your
seek
punch
them out.
card, you know. Everyone's got a punch card
exactly.
for toilets. That's what everyone does in Australia.
Exactly.
You go to a different toilet and each one has a different hole punch style. In fact, every toilet has a different hole punch style.
My favourite ones are the ones that have little stars, just because I think that's cute and fun.
That is cute.
I don't know, what would you use this for?
You could have a shitload of pets. Human pets, maybe, as well.
Oh, Alison, we've missed out on the obvious one. You could manufacture some killer drugs down here.
You really...
You could make a heck of a crystal meth lab down there.
When the police catch you and they're like, oh, that's quite illegal what you did there,
so
you're going to jail.
Put me in jail?
You'll be like, okay, well, officer, I've got a jail right here. And the officer's like, well, we can't argue with that.
Let me push this box of crystal meth out of the way and you can just put me in this cell.
You can put me right here, officer. No worries.
A US journalist shared the unbelievable home on Twitter, joking that the cells are the perfect place for misbehaving children or your daughter's boyfriend. Because that is going to do wonders for your relationship with your child.
You know what? After we have talked about using it as like a nefarious dungeon, I don't want to think about putting kids down there.
Oh, God, that's where the daughter is going to go to fuck the boyfriend. That's absolutely going to happen.
And they're no.
At that point, you have to have the talk, and you'd be like, I would prefer if you did it in your bedroom. You'd
be like, Cassie, you're 32 now. You should know how this works. And just go do it in your own house.
So you're insinuating that after Cassie has moved out, she will bring her paramours back to this house to do it.
Exactly.
Because that's the only way she knows how, is in that basement.
Exactly.
That's genuinely terrifying. Can you imagine being on the receiving end of that offer?
You're like, I need you to come to my parents' house. And they're like, this is some weird fetish. Okay, no worries.
And you're like,
but they're
all
not
right,
expecting like a jail cell thing.
Let me just like pop home and pick up my taser first, just in case, you know?
Just in case. You might need that.
This is extremely alarming, one Twitter user wrote in reaction.
I mean, yes.
No, it's not wrong. I feel we've both been alarmed.
I'm not alarmed now. I'm like, wholeheartedly
now
I kind of want to buy this house.
Yeah,
but
I see the appeal.
When I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck is this? Why does this exist?
Well, Alison, if you get a 10% deposit, you only need like 45 grand, and that's like still a lot of money, but a lot lower than a lot of the Aussie houses. So like,
well, you know what, Chris? It's cheaper than that like burnt out ex-meth lab that burnt down in Sydney.
That's the worst sentence I've ever heard in my life, and it's completely true. Whoever buys this house should absolutely be monitored by the authorities, a man said.
Well, they're the authorities if they're in the house, right?
Why don't they just say only human traffickers and paedophiles need apply? This is very disturbing and seems like it should not be legal, another person added. That's kind of accidentally woke because they're suggesting jail shouldn't be legal, but I don't think for the right reasons.
I don't think look.
A look into the home's history shows a less sinister reason for the cells. The historic building, constructed in 1875, was once a sheriff's house and jail. So I guess it's cancelled.
Yeah.
The home
How many ghosts would be in there, though?
Oh, many ghosts.
Way back towards the early days of this podcast, we talked about a story about a woman who married a ghost pirate called Jack Sparrow. Or Jack Teague or something.
I did not remember this, but I'm sad that I don't remember this.
Well, there was a lady who married a ghost pirate called Jack Teague or something like that. Anyway, I think she would love this house.
Yeah, no, she'd be super into it.
She made a lot of huge ghost criminals in there to have a fun time with.
Alison, Jesus, there's a lot of... That seems like gross and exploitative to go to a jail to fuck the dead inmates. Well,
I mean, she married a criminal pirate ghost.
I suppose that is true. She has a type. So it says the house stands next to the current county jail, which I can't imagine being great ambience.
The vistas, maybe not that good.
The vistas, oppression. Do you have a story for me, please, Alison?
Sure. I've got a couple. Let's go to this one. Oh, this was sent to me by my friend Monroe, who's from Canada.
Thanks, Monroe.
Thank you. And this one is also not Australian, of course. And I'm reading from Jezebel. And it's about our good friend James Blunt. What's James Blunt up to these days?
My main memory of James Blunt, outside of his god-awful music, is that when I watched him as a judge on, I think it was either The X Factor or The Voice, he just exudes a profoundly creepy energy. And that's all I can say about the man is I have nothing to justify this, but I get big Predator vibes.
Yeah, you know? I don't know.
He just has it's probably because he wrote that song about stalking a woman that one time. But I just don't like him at all.
God, what song was that?
Isn't that the You're Beautiful song? Isn't that about him like... He's like following someone on the train or something like that.
It's true. Is that him? Or is that one of the other people singing songs about being beautiful?
They're all the same.
I don't know, Christopher.
I think that is him.
You're beautiful. Anyway.
My mum loves James Blunt. Mum...
Ignore.
You're wrong. You're wrong and your taste is bad.
What we're going to... Anyway, so... I'm going to read from the Jezebel article that my friend sent, but I'm actually going to read the headline to you from a different article, if you don't mind.
I do not, because I feel like you've put a lot of thought into this, and I appreciate that.
I have put a lot of thought into this, because I do like the headline that Perth Now has chosen to use on this article.
Okay.
British singer James Blunt admits he got scurvy after adopting all-meat diet to spite vegan and vegetarian classmates.
Spite scurvy is the best kind.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's delicious stuff. Which is ironic, because I feel like eating only meat would get pretty not delicious pretty quick at a certain point.
You know, Jordan Peterson, that's what he recommends. Beef and
Just
salt.
a bastion of wisdom, that man.
Well, actually, it's his daughter's diet that he adopted, and it's done only good things for him.
He doesn't poo anymore.
He doesn't. And you know what? That means that his body is absorbing every nutrient that he takes in. There's no waste produced from his diet.
There is a good chance he's going to explode at some point, but
Right.
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
When he explodes, his body won't have any toxins.
No, exactly, and that's what counts.
Exactly. I'm going to read from Jezebel, though. So it says, James Blunt, a man best known for his 2005 hit song Beautiful and being used as an insult on Skins, you take me for a complete James Blunt, don't you?
Don't remember that, and I've watched all of Skins.
Well, there you go. He
Which
reportedly...
I regret admitting on this public forum, but we were all teenagers once, let me be.
I'll forgive you. I watched some real television.
I thought Skins was very, very cool, and it did fuck up my perception of what coolness is for
what?
a solid 5 years.
I didn't like Skins
Well into
because
adulthood,
I
actually.
thought it was too cool.
Oh.
You know, I was like, damn, this is what everyone's doing. You know?
Yeah, no, I thought that, and it did genuinely mess with my self-esteem for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Great soundtrack, though. Great soundtrack.
decent fashion for the time.
Right?
So he reportedly once developed scurvy after adopting a meat-only diet to piss off women in his university classes and assert his masculinity.
This really sticks with my previous analysis of the man, I just gotta say.
Naturally, his journey into
I love being proven right.
Naturally, his journey into this proto-manosphere bullshit fucked up his health, as James revealed on singer Jessie Ware's podcast, Table Manners. So this
Jesse,
is
you
what
can
he
do
said.
better than James Blunt. Come on.
I'm going to read
I like
this
Jessie
little
Ware.
bit
She's
here.
cool.
It said, Blunt claims that he ate almost nothing but meat and condiments for 2 months while studying aerospace manufacturing, engineering and
my
sociology
God.
at the University of Bristol in the mid-1990s.
That's too many things to study, James.
Right. The eccentric diet was part of an effort to assert his masculinity, as some of his degree classes were dominated by women, he indicated.
I'm just imagining Jessie Ware, who, for those who don't know, is a very good UK-based singer. She does really cool stuff over electronic music. I'm just imagining her listening to this Odyssey and just repressing the urge to vomit all over the man.
I just love giving myself severe constipation
Just
to
all
show
night,
what a man I
all
am.
All night, all day, butthole pain. Love that shit.
Everyone knows only women poop, so that's why I, a real man, gave myself severe
yes,
constipation.
All women poop. Yes, not hashtag not all men poop.
Hashtag not men poop.
Not men poop.
On the sociology side of things, there were 170 girls and only 3 boys, of which all of the girls were vegetarian or vegans, he said. Christopher, I don't buy that all
No,
of
I
his
doubt that
sociology
very
class
much.
in the mid-1990s were vegetarian or vegans.
No, I think that's A, a blatant lie. B, I bet one of them just had a very real celiac disease and he was being a huge dick to them.
Probably.
I don't know. I don't know what the 90s were like. I was only 1 year old, you know?
In the 90s, I was 8 years old at the end of it.
I was 6 at the end of it.
Right, it's not too much difference.
No.
Anyway, so out of principle, I decided I'd become a carnivore.
It'd be way too long to do the maths on that.
And
Jesus Christ.
just lived on mince, some chicken, maybe some mayonnaise.
Oh, I want to vomit on my laptop, but I won't because it cost me a lot of currency.
Oh boy.
The mince part in particular is upsetting. Okay, in order of upsettingness, I feel like the chicken's probably the most constipation causing aspect of it, but like
the least upsetting.
Yeah, I eat a lot of chicken. I find it very palatable.
Right.
We as a species.
I love chicken. I love chicken.
I just enjoy at this stage how much we as a species have fucked the species of chickens.
Have you seen a chicken in the wild?
No, because they don't exist.
They do exist.
I disagree. I don't believe you. I think it's super cool that not only do we eat these animals, but we also eat their, like, child poops. Their little eggs that they poop out as well. We're also like,
and then
I'll
we
have
put
that
their
one too.
actual
Yum,
poop
yum.
on our garden so we can grow our other foods.
Exactly.
So we can grow the side dishes.
I don't know what chickens did to God to make this be the state of affairs, but, you know, it is what it is.
Well, yeah. You know what? You know what was great, though?
But the mince is the worst one.
In my neighbourhood in Jakarta, there were just so many chickens just running everywhere all the time. I don't know who they belonged to. But
maybe it's because I'm only familiar with, like, Western cities. That's maybe I don't have the appreciation for
you don't have
wild
the appreciation of, like, chickens, street chickens, just roaming everywhere.
Free anarchist chickens, just like...
Exactly. There were free anarchist cats and chickens and ducks all just
gangs
roaming.
Of chickens just like holding you up as you try and get home.
And when I was walking home, I remember I was eating like a rice ball, like onigiri.
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of rice fell out, and a lot of chickens really enjoyed that rice that came from my food.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, okay, this is the life that these chickens live, just running around everywhere.
I'm just imagining these chickens as Dickensian sort of street urchins.
Right, that's
just
what they are.
Just like a chicken looking up at you being like, won't you adopt me, miss?
Like,
won't you please take me into your home and feed me whatever it is chickens eat?
And then you feel guilt-tripped, so you adopt the chicken out of a guilt trip, and you don't really want it.
No.
You don't really want to be raising this boy. I'm going to continue the James Blunt scurvy story so we can get to the end of it.
Okay, that's good, because I've never read a Charles Dickens book, so I could not take that bit any further.
I haven't either, so I was just getting us out of that.
And in response to my dad when he says you should read a Charles Dickens book, I will never read a Charles Dickens book.
Won't.
That is a promise I am making. It's not going to happen.
Okay, and so James Blunt continues, it took me about 8 to 6 weeks to get very unhealthy and see a doctor who then said, I think you've got the symptoms of scurvy. Scurvy, you know, the disease that sailors of yore often acquired from lack of vitamin C.
If you're not, like, in the British Navy in 1820, like...
You've got no right to have scurvy.
I didn't know you could still get scurvy. I thought we'd fixed that one.
I thought we were past that in society. It's a dude got scurvy and probably the worst shits in his life trying to prove a point to the few people that probably noticed or cared about.
Oh, God. The things you do to make a number of, you know, perfectly normal women angry.
Right, exactly. Anyway, Perth now just kind of has like a little bit of a rundown of some of the symptoms of scurvy, so I'm jumping back over here.
Yes, I would like that.
It said, the condition known for afflicting 18th and 19th century sailors who were at sea for months at a time is caused by a lack of vitamin C and can cause bleeding gums, fatigue, muscle weakness, bruising, and skin rashes. It can sometimes cause the skin to bleed and can be fatal.
I bet those women were really into all of this masculinity on display.
Absolutely. You know what?
James's whole thing.
When he smiled and there was just blood all over his teeth, the ladies were like, damn, that's some hot man energy that I'm getting.
But here's the thing, Alison, that you don't realise, is that one of those women was Stephanie Meyer. And that was the inspiration for Twilight.
James Blunt with his bleeding scurvy gums because he ate only meat for 6 weeks. Jesus Christ. I don't know at what point you get to in life where you're like, I really want to prove a point to these people whose politics I don't like, so I'm going to completely just fuck up my own body to prove a point to some people who probably don't care.
I know that, like, Twitter is bad and has made the world a worse place, but at the same time, like, nowadays you would just go and get yourself cancelled on Twitter instead. Like,
exactly.
You know? And that seems less physically dangerous to me.
That seems like a more healthy pastime.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, though? Here's the thing. In the age of Twitter, there are men still giving themselves scurvy from all-meat diets to prove a point to feminists and social justice warriors, Christopher.
Shit, you're not right. It never ends.
It never ends.
Are you suggesting that in... Wait, when did this happen? So you said the 90s?
The 90s, yeah.
That in about 7-ish years, Jordan Peterson is going to release an album of really mediocre folk pop music, and my mum is going to love it.
You know what? I would say if he did that, good for him compared to what he's doing at the moment. So
It's a step in the right direction. He'll be hosting The Voice in 20 years.
You know what? If Jordan Peterson wants to start singing songs like You're Beautiful, as opposed to being an alt-right agitator, you know what? Good for him.
You're beautiful instead of you're not a straight white man, I hate you.
Yeah. Go write music, Jordan Peterson. Just do that.
It would not shock me. And I say this as someone who also makes electronic music. He gives me big, I make a lot of techno energy.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah. And am I dunking on myself there? A little bit, but you know,
You're
it is what
dunking
it
on
is.
yourself immediately when you put yourself aligned with Jordan Peterson in some way, shape, or form.
Can I bring you a story? This one was sent to me by my mother. It's from 7 News, because I'm pretty sure that's... So I feel confident that my dad doesn't go to find stories for me. I think he just happens upon them. I'm starting to realise that I think my mum does go to find stories for me, and she goes to 7news.com.au every single time. And I support and appreciate that. Thank you, Mum. This is written by Jenny Key. Girlfriend left livid after boyfriend tries to defrost the frozen chicken in the toilet.
Yuck.
There's a few different laughs I get from you from various things, and some of them are like the big raucous ones, but my favourite one is the like half gulp, half swallow, half laugh. Where it's like you can just tell you just do not know how to process the information.
It's like, okay, right. Continue.
When it comes to defrosting food, you have quite a few options.
Yes.
There's defrosting in the refrigerator, placing your ingredients in a bowl of water, or even using the microwave. But one man has come up with the most far-fetched solution of them all. Trying to defrost his frozen chicken in a toilet tank.
Why? Who thinks I'm going to eat this later? I think I'll put it in the toilet.
Sharing his story on the platform Reddit, the man explained... Oh, this is one of those articles. The man explained that he had read online that a good way to thaw meat quicker was to submerge it in water. Except...
Sure.
He didn't have a bowl that could fit the chicken. I remembered that the water in the tops... I remembered that the water in the top section of the toilet is clean, he said in his post. I am not, all caps, talking about the toilet bowl itself. The top part that stores water.
Oh, that's
it's
okay
clean.
then, Christopher. That's okay. You can put... I'll eat the chicken from the top part of the toilet. That's fine.
So I removed the lid and I double-bagged the frozen chicken and I submerged it into the top part of the toilet.
No worries then.
Some water overflowed onto the ground, but I cleaned it up. I put the lid back on. Boom. Done. So, just give me your immediate emotional reaction to that.
I don't like what I heard. First of all, I'll say that. Firstly, I'd like to say, if I was in this situation, I've got myself in this jam, I don't have a bowl that will fit the chicken, maybe what I'll do is I'll put the fucking plug in the sink in the kitchen and fill it with water.
That's pretty fucking clever, Alison.
Oh, it's pretty... You know what? I'm pretty smart for thinking of that.
Pretty smart.
I'm pretty genius.
The man thought his girlfriend would be impressed by his ingenious solution.
What girls is he around that will be impressed by chicken in the toilet?
But sadly, he was mistaken.
Well,
I told her the chicken was thawing, but I forgot to tell her where it was thawing, he said. Suddenly, I heard her shouting in the bathroom. That's when I realised my blunder. She must have flushed the toilet, and when the top refilled, it overflowed a bit again because of the chicken in the toilet. Oh, jeez. That's my favourite bit about this, is it renders the toilet inoperable.
As long as you don't eat a shit when your chicken's defrosting.
I opened the door just as she was lifting the lid off the toilet top and seen the chicken. The girlfriend was left stunningly livid, much to the man's dismay and astonishment, as he remained clueless over the reason behind his girlfriend's wrath. I tried to explain, but I could hardly get a word in, he said.
I don't know what explanation you can make for why this chicken in the toilet would make her not angry.
I went to feel the chicken to see how thawed it was, and said it maybe needed another hour, and she said she would never eat the chicken. Now, I was more shocked than ever. Why would she not eat the chicken? It was perfectly fine.
Why would she not eat the chicken, Christopher?
The water was clean, and besides, it's in 2 layers of bags. I explained this to her perfectly, but she wouldn't listen. I cooked the chicken up later, and she would not have any of it. She ordered takeout to be spiteful.
Yeah,
now,
I don't think it's to be spiteful. I think it's so she's not eating toilet chicken.
Because it's... The moment it enters, I'm going to say the room that the toilet is in.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even the toilet. Like, it has become toilet chicken. Like,
right.
It doesn't matter if there's bags. The fucking toiletness can get between the atoms of the bag and get to the chicken. Like, it doesn't matter. Okay, here's my example. And this happened to me today, and it was not pleasant.
Right.
So I went out for my walk at about 2 p.m, got home at like 2:45 to find that my beautiful cat, Tiny Tim, had pissed on the kitchen table.
Sure.
And firstly, love that. Thank you very much, Tim. Secondly, I had a bag of avocados on that kitchen table.
Right.
And I immediately threw those out because my cat
near the cat piss.
They were right near the cat piss and had a little bit of the cat piss on them. And my
cat piss avocados.
No, my sister phoned me later, and I explained this situation. No, I was actually on the phone to my sister on the walk, and when I got home, she heard me narrating this whole situation. And at one point, I threw out the avocados, and she was like, "Oh, why don't you wash them?" And I'm like, "Because they've had cat piss on them."
Right,
and
they're
she's like,
piss
"Yeah,
avocados now."
And she's like, "But there's the skin on the outside." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter.
It still had piss on it.
It had piss on it, and that
Right.
renders it unusable."
It's
just
been pissed on.
Exactly. It's even if someone would approve to me with some sort of scientific bullshit, I would be like, it's the concept. I don't want to eat food that's been pissed on.
Right. It's the principle of the matter.
Exactly. And the entire time I'm eating my yummy avocado toast, I'll be like, yummy. And I will taste like phantom piss in that avocado. And this man's girlfriend is going to taste phantom toilet in this chicken.
Well, exactly. Even if there's no toilet that's entered the chicken, then it's still going to taste like toilet.
Because it was still a chicken that was put in a toilet. Like, when you took most food that's cooked, you describe it like you have grilled chicken.
Yes.
Or baked chicken. So if a toilet was part of the cooking process, then it is toilet chicken by definition.
Yes, exactly.
And it must be named and described as such.
Right. Firstly, I also like the audacity of this guy not to explain that he was defrosting chicken in the toilet and just she found it there. And then when she found it there and was like, what the fuck? His first reaction was, oh, I wonder if it's defrosted.
So, you know how you said the sink thing earlier?
Yes.
It became clear that logic had evaded him when a fellow Reddit user asked one simple question, perhaps the most obvious question there is for a conundrum such as this. Mm-hmm. You don't have a sink? The user asked. If you don't have a bowl, literally everyone goes to putting the chicken in the sink. You don't shit where you eat, man.
Right.
And I believe he did not respond to that one, because I'm going to assume he read that and just went, fuck.
It's like,
Okay, firstly, jinx. Secondly, yes.
Yes. Now, I would like to say that someone just messaged me on Facebook then, and I'm like, look, I'm chatting about a story right now about a man who defrosted his chicken in the toilet. And I'll give you a quick rundown of the reactions from this group chat.
Yep.
So it's like, that's disgusting, awful. Does he want her dead? And then someone else's reaction was just typing the words, dodo water chicken.
Dodo? Oh, I assume it's meant to be doo-doo.
Doo-doo,
Okay.
right?
But I like dodo water.
I like
okay,
doo-doo
now
water
we're
chicken.
cooking with gas.
Doo-doo water chicken. And that's what it is.
Go to the islands where the dodos got extincted, find the
Right.
bones. Then we
Yeah.
defrost the chicken in that water and it becomes dodo chicken. And that's the closest thing you can get to eating dodo meat.
Exactly.
And James Blunt would love that shit.
Oh, he would. He'd
do you
eat
have
that
a-
up with mayonnaise.
Do you have a final story for us, please, Alison?
Yeah. Shall I just jump into this? Is one of the big stories of the week, really, here in the country of Australia.
Heck yeah,
With
hit
our,
me with it.
well, you know, smash hit television show The Masked Singer, I'm sure you hear, has been shut down because
I have heard that.
coronavirus.
Here's the thing. The Masked Singer has existed for quite some time. Still, I've never watched it, and I genuinely don't understand what
Its
it is.
existence is still jarring to me. Even now I know what it is and I understand the concept, is that
I don't.
So here's the concept. There's a celebrity
Right.
and they're wearing a giant mascot costume and they're singing a song and no one knows who the celebrity is. It could be anyone. And everyone's like, oh, you know, is it Arnold Schwarzenegger? Is it Rob Schneider? Is it Zack Snyder? And then it turns out it's some B-grade Australian celebrity, of course, because it's an Australian
Yeah, that
television
makes sense.
show. It's always, you know, you're like, oh, it could be Rob Schneider. Or actually, it's Ernie Dingo. He hasn't been on television in a long time, but
I think my
he's here
personal...
now as the Masked Singer.
If it had to be anyone, I would really like it to be Russell Crowe. Because
Mm-hmm.
that way he can be... because I genuinely just don't mind Russell Crowe as a performer and some such.
Sure.
But also because that way he can be like... Everyone's like, oh my God, it's such a beautiful, silky, smooth voice. And then he takes it off and he's like, and you all gave me shit for Les Mis. And he gets his comeuppance.
Anyway, so as maybe some of our listeners would know, Melbourne has a lot of the Roni happening at the moment.
Got quite a bit done.
Quite a little, yeah. It's got more Roni than Australia's had in the whole rest of the Roni crisis.
To be fair though, this is not even a bragging thing. It's just like a factual thing. Compared to like most places in America, it's still way less. And
Yeah.
that's not like you guys are doing bad. It's just like, all things considered, we're doing okay. Please don't worry about us.
Absolutely,
We're all
absolutely.
right.
So the Roni's happening, in Melbourne, and you know what? Still, society's allowed to go on. Some, you know, regular necessities are allowed to continue to exist. And one of those necessities, apparently, is the filming of smash hit reality show The Masked Singer, which was filming in Melbourne despite coronavirus. So I'm
Yes.
reading from Channel 7 News about this. It says The Masked Singer Australia shut down after outbreak of coronavirus. Now look, here's the picture that's included. It says stills from The Masked Singer. It's got like some blue sloth thing doing like a shrug like, oh no. And then something that looks like Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. He's got like his sassy hand up like, please stop.
It's one of those things. I know we've reached a point in culture where like you can't miss a step or you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes.
But this is like, it's so psychedelic. And also, the fact that it's called The Masked Singer and they still got coronavirus.
This is the irony of the whole
Yeah.
situation.
Just that, you know?
The production of the television show The Masked Singer Australia has been immediately suspended after coronavirus outbreak.
Well, I suppose the core concept of the show is taking the mask off.
Right, and that's when the coronavirus happened, as soon as the mask came off.
Russell Crowe just starts coughing the moment the mask comes off.
The
Sprays it
Network
everywhere.
10 show took to Twitter to announce that a crew member has tested positive for COVID-19. They've since confirmed to Today Tonight that multiple crew members have tested positive to the deadly virus. I believe, in fact, it's up to 7 now. There is, in fact, 7 dancers on The Masked Singer that have tested positive to COVID-19.
That is how the Roni works.
It is how it works. The production team, including the host, panellist, and masked singers, have been put into self-isolation. This implies the host, Osher Gunsberg, and 4 celebrity judges, including Danny Minogue, have also been forced to isolate.
Oh,
The health-
Osher. I got
Osher.
into a fight with him on Twitter one time.
You did
That
get
was
into a
fun.
fight with him on Twitter one time, and now he's in coronavirus lockdown.
Well, I think that is vindication for me.
Well, there you
that
go.
That is God's way of saying I was right and Osher was wrong. And,
that you can, in fact, make a dating show that stars queer people.
Exactly. Fuck you, Osher.
That's what God
I'm going
was
to die
saying.
on this hill.
It's a good hill to die on.
Thank you.
But don't actually die.
I will try my... Well, I mean, I'm not the one with coronavirus, so...
What I find interesting here is the masked singers who haven't been revealed... Do they have to continue wearing their costume in isolation? Because otherwise, right, you've got this celebrity that's suddenly gone into self-iso.
Yeah.
And people are like, I know the masked singers went into self-isolation. Are you a masked singer? So
and
maybe
then
they have to
in your Davy Jones outfit go, no!
No, I'm not.
Do they have to sing their responses?
Yes, they do. So I think that they should be forced to self-isolate as their mascot costumes. So the sloth person will have to be the sloth throughout the 2 weeks of self-isolation.
And they can't take it off ever.
No,
not
they
even
can't.
to shower,
Right.
not to bathroom.
Exactly.
I can't imagine that all of those costumes, I assume, have that like old-timey butt flap that you find on onesies.
What I'm assuming though, Chris, is that in fact they have like astronaut toilet facilities built into it, you know. So if you need to take a little poopy while you're singing, you can just do that.
Okay, interesting.
Take a whiz, you know, while you're singing. No worries.
It's kind of like if your pants had a built-in catheter. It's very cool.
Exactly. All of the masked singer costumes have catheters built in. That's a fact of life.
Fact of life.
And you can use those catheters to defrost chicken.
I have no way of relating this. This is maybe the most aggressive tangent I've ever taken us on in this show. So the video game series Halo, you've heard of this? It's about a big green armored man who does fighting.
Yes, I'm aware of Halo.
So there's a running joke, and by running joke I mean like a fact. So there's a lot of lore in the Halo universe. There's like a bajillion books of it. I've read none of them because I have had sex before. But one of my favorite pieces of information that comes from the Halo lore is that the big green man's suit, it does jack him off sometimes.
Is this canon lore?
Has built-in jacking off functionality.
Sorry, this is canon lore in the...
That's just what I'm told. I haven't read it, so I can't confirm, but I do believe that it's canonical that the big green man does get jacked off by his suit.
It is a little bit weird to me, but also somehow I would believe that would be canon lore.
Exactly. Well, they've written like 30 of these dang books. At some point, he has to get jacked off by his suit.
Sure, it has to happen.
Like, you write 30 books of anything, and, like, that is inevitable at some point.
It's like when you're reading a book like Harry Potter, right? And you're like, when do the wizards piss?
When do the wizards get jacked off by their own robes? Like,
well, the adult wizards.
The adult wizards, of course.
Right.
When does Dumbledore get frisky? And then Fantastic Beasts exists, and that answers that question, actually. I rest my case.
Indeed. Indeed.
Do we want to wrap up?
Let's wrap up there. So if this episode is 5 hours long, you're listening to the Snyder cut. If this episode is a reasonable amount of time, you're listening to the Schneider cut of this episode. So we don't know who's going to edit this at the end, if it's going to be Snyder or Schneider. You'll find out, I guess. You'll find out.
You'll know... It might be a bit hard to tell because both of them, like, let's be honest, and Zach, Rob, I'm sorry to do this to you. It's going to be dog shit no matter which one of them is involved with it.
Yes. You're correct.
I'm sorry to our listeners that this episode was just so awful, definitely due to their involvement and not ours.
And not our own fault. If this episode's bad, it is on Rob and Zach.
It is Zach Snyder and Rob Schneider's fault for the quality of our podcast.
Right, exactly.
And you can, and that is a legal statement.
Absolutely.
You can find us... I said that weird. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Red Menace Cast, or on Facebook at the Red Menace Podcast. You can find us on TeePublic and get our merchandise and some such from there. Mm-hmm. Do I say anything else? I don't think so.
Not generally, no, not typically.
Don't watch the Snyder cut because it's a 4-hour long cut of a movie that was already pretty bad. And also you have to pay money for it, I believe.
You can watch the Schneider cut of Batman, though.
Watch if Rob Schneider makes a cut of Justice League, then I will watch that because I think it will genuinely be more entertaining.
I think there will be more entertainment value from that.
It will not be good, but like it will be entertaining. Thank you everybody for listening. Good luck and good night. Lizards unite.
Lizards unite.